You ever woken up one morning after a few days of diving and one ear or the other is kind of feels swollen and sore? Even hurts to move your jaw up and down a little bit? Well, I'm going to tell you a little bit about some beer that you can put in your ear. Welcome to Everything Scuba Quick Tips. Hey guys, welcome to Everything Scuba. I am Lyle. This is the Quick Tips edition. As you know, every so often we like to bring you just some shorter videos to give you some tips and tricks to make your diving endeavors easier and more fun. Today we're going to talk about a problem that some divers might experience, particularly after multiple days of diving or repetitive dives, called, big fancy term, otitis externa. Some of you might know it as swimmer's ear. Basically, an external infection that occurs within the outer portion of the ear canal. I've had this several times on multiple days of diving. I wake up one morning, the symptoms you might experience, your ear starts to feel full, it's definitely getting tender. Sometimes I'll even have tenderness under and around the ear, and even the jaw joint might feel sore because your temporomandibular joint lives right in front of the external ear canal. So, what are some of the causes of this? Some people think that they're going to get an ear infection because they were in a junky lake, or somehow bacteria within the water that they're diving in caused this infection. Not true. We know that external ear infections for divers primarily occur because when we dive, we're under pressure underwater. That pressure gets exerted into the external ear canal and actually spreads apart the epithelium, the cells that is lining the external ear canal. And so that becomes kind of leaky, and particularly if we're doing it over and over and over again during diving multiple days, then the bacteria that live normally in the external ear canal now can find their way through the little cracks and fissures between those cells. They park themselves in a nice, warm, humid environment, and it's party central for them, and it's pain and infection for you. So, how can we prevent this? Well, the Navy has studied this. They did it extensively in the 60s, and even prior to that when they started to do saturation diving. And what they found was that saturation divers and other types of Navy divers, about 20% of those would result in external ear infections, or swimmer's ear is the other term for it. And so they did a few studies to take a look and see, okay, what are some of the ways we could try and prevent this for our divers? And what they found that is placing 2% acetic acid with a couple of other chemicals mixed in there into the ear canal. They had divers do that for 5 minutes each year prior to diving, which is key, prior to diving, and they found that they almost completely eliminated the problem within those Navy divers. And so they then developed a solution known as Otic Domboro. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. It's a solution. Unfortunately, though, you require a prescription for that, and it's pretty expensive. There are obviously other things that you can buy over the counter. You've seen lots of those little swimmer's ear bottles that you can purchase from the pharmacy. Those generally only contain isopropyl alcohol and maybe have a little bit of glycerin in them. They're missing that component of the acetic acid. The acetic acid is the bacteria killing portion of the solution. The alcohol is a drying agent. Basically, if you have excess water within your ear, it's going to help dry that out. And then the glycerin is kind of a moisturizing chemical. It's going to be kinder to the tissues. So I want to share with you a solution that we put together, and I think many other divers have used this previously too. Word of warning, we are not here to give medical advice. If you have any questions about anything that you're going to put inside your body or in your ears, obviously consult with your physician first. If there's any chance that you may have a ruptured eardrum, you absolutely should not put any drops of any kind in there until that has been fully evaluated by the physician. So, let me share the recipe with you. So this recipe is going to have 3 main components. We have here some white distilled vinegar. Distilled vinegar of this variety contains about 3 to 4% acetic acid, which is more than what the Navy was using on their divers. This is a 70% isopropyl alcohol, and then we also have pharmaceutical grade glycerin, USP 99.5% anhydrous glycerin. So the ratio we are going to put in our ear beer container, and this is just a condiment container, has a small hole on the top, and you might put ketchup in it or pancake syrup or whatever. You might see it in the restaurants, but it's just easy to carry around and non-destructible. So we're going to take, the ratios are 45% of the solution will be made up of vinegar, 45% will be made up of the isopropyl alcohol, and 10% will be made up of the glycerin. And we primarily just fill this bottle with those, with that ratio. To use this, as we said, this is a prophylactic measure, meaning we're trying to use this prior to diving to prevent infections. We're trying to reduce the bacterial load, the number of bacteria within the ear canals prior to diving. And so generally what I'm going to do is tilt my head. I'm going to use this to fill up my ear canal and then time it. So in the Navy studies, what they found is they required a minimum of 5 minutes per side. That's a long time to hold your head from one side to the other. Primarily what I do is I usually do 2 to 3 minutes per side to flush out my ears prior to diving. If I feel like I have some ear water in my ears after the dive, I may also use this primarily for the alcohol to help dry up that ear so I don't have excess water that sits within the ear that could allow, problems. But what I've noticed is when I use this, particularly if I'm on a liveaboard or multiple days of diving, that with multiple repetitive dives each day, I've had very few issues with swimmer's ear, which I would get quite commonly before I use this solution. If you feel like you've already developed an ear infection, this is not going to be of much use to you. Instead, you should probably consult with your physician. You may actually require an antibiotic ear drop. We hope these tips have been helpful to you. If they have, click that like button down below. If you're not a subscriber already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. We'd love to have you join us for every quick tip.